What is up, YouTube? The Zelda Duelist is back at you with another deck list profile. And today, it's a deck I hold close to my heart. Now, Yugi Moto himself has been getting some spotlight recently with the new Chimera cards that came out in Duelist Nexus. How they work well with Branded, and in general, they are probably what's now currently the best Branded build other than maybe Despia. I prefer Despia, but online I'm tinkering with Chimera. Don't own the cards for it yet. But playing with it got me thinking, what was the first deck someone used with Yugi Moto and Branded? Why, it's this one. Deck I hold well and close to my heart. Branded Dark Magician. And to prove it's branded, there's a Mirror Jade. Dark Magician itself is a deck I hold very close to my heart, as it was the first deck I properly built that was archetypal. Sure, I had a mixed match of Utopia and Pendulum back in the day, but my first proper deck was Dark Magician. I say proper, it was alright at best, but it's still an amazing deck, with this Dragoon being my first good boss monster. Sorry, Utopia Ravy, it's not going to cut it anymore. I did originally make a branded Dark Magician profile back in Tearlament Ishizu format 10 months ago. Yeah, I think there needs a bit of an update, don't you? So this is what I'll probably start doing with some of my old videos. I'll make updates to them, make sure that they're better with the current format, and hence why we got this here. Some changes are less obvious, are going to be quite obvious. For example, you've seen me get more branded cards throughout the channel. I've obviously implemented more of them into this. But you've also seen me not have to play March Range 2 to beat Tearlament anymore. Oh, there's no Mystic Mine. I can't play Mystic Mine anymore, which sucks, but it's fine. We're being chilling. This is the list I have at the moment. Some notes, it's not optimized. I'm missing Ash Blossoms, Imperms, Soul Servants, etc. So, I don't have Illusion Chaos or Magician Souls solely because I don't own any of them and only one ref, but please forgive me for this. I'm working on this at the moment and I'm hoping to get more DM cards and Chimera cards in the future. But with out of the way, let's go into the deck profile. The bricks of the deck is what I'm going to call these first 4 monsters. These 4 monsters are cards you never want to see in your hand, except one of them, and I'll explain that one in a minute. But you always want, I will guarantee, other than one of them, which is this one here, you'll need it in your deck. Let's put this one here. I'll tell you in a minute. First ones are 2 copies of Dark Magician, 1 Arcana, 1, I say Yugi. I know he had the purple one, but this is the closest I've got that's in the same rarity as this one. Final one, you never want to see in your hand. Red Eyes Bat Dragon. As a heads up, this is the literal only card in this list, other than I think maybe some of the cards that only have one rarity. That's highest rarity. So I'm just letting you know this now. It's not perfect. So obviously you play Red Eyes Fusion, so you need Red Eyes Bat Dragon. It's standard in Dark Magician. It's basically a Dark Magician card at this point. And Dark Magician himself is, well, he's the GOAT of the deck. It's not a Dark Magician deck without Dark Magician. Although there is a meme where Dark Magician players never want Dark Magician in their deck. It's a Dragoon deck in reality, but we'll get to that later. But these are the heart and soul of the deck, these guys. And you are here for good old Red Eyes Fusion combos. Now what's the final one I said? It might be alright to see in your hand in a very specific circumstance. Well, it's the Dark Magician goal, of course. Now, competitive Dark Magician decks are hit and miss with DMG, mostly because she literally serves virtually no purpose in the deck. I prefer having Dark Magician Girl in the list, other than, oh my god, it's like Yugi all over, and Dark Magician Girl and Red Eyes, oh my god, because in heart I am a massive fan of the anime. As heads up, I will be getting the new tins when they come out. That's going to be great. Also, I play a couple cards that Dark Magician is actually useful for. For example, Soul Servant and Magician Salvation. They may just be the only ones. Spoilers. Sorry about that. But it's always nice to have her in the grave more than anything. Just as a backup plan. And so you don't ever draw her. But these are the Dark Magician lineup, like the bricks of the deck. Moving on to the Dark Magician's cards, like main deck monsters rather. Playing triple copies of Magician's Rod. This is one of 3? Is it 3? Yeah, 3 normal summons of the deck. And we have grand total of 3 Magician's Rod, 3 of another card, and 1 of another. So 7 normal summons in the deck. This one, you don't have to normal summon it. But about 6 not have to normal summon. And with some of the cards in the deck, you don't even need to normal summon the other one. So Rod is always there because you there for the Dark Magician part of the deck. Sure, you can Mirror Jade past the opponent. Sure, you can Dragoon pass with a Brand Infusion. But it's more iconic to go, here's a Dragoon, normal summon Magician's Rod, set up the circle plays. Because that's what the deck's for. It's Dark Magician at the end of the day. Next up, we're playing 2 copies of Apprentice Illusion Magician. Other than being a great way to get your copy of Dark Magician Girl in the grave or Dark Magician, such is a Dark Magician, meaning if you have Circle and Soul, but no Brand Infusion, no Red Eyes Fusion, you still have a interruption on the opponent's turn, and if it's timed right, it can work wonders. I actually won a game against Kashtira because of that one little interaction. So don't underestimate the power of Rod and Circle. Rod and Circle? Circle and Soul. But it isn't something you want to rely on, that's for certain. Oh, Cosmic Cyclone straight afterwards. Final Dark Magician monster. Timaeus. Put you here, Timaeus. Timaeus is an obvious one. It's a dragon, so it makes Red Eyes Fusion. The Red Eyes Fusion, Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. And to summon it, you send any spellcaster from your hand or deck, hand or field to grave. This is a spellcaster. This spellcaster is Searchlight Magician. This card, plus, say this, and any discard is Dragoon. Yes, it's a 3-card combo in 2023, but dab nabbit, it's Dark Magician. Let's do it. It's a fun deck. We're not playing to win a YCS. We're not playing to win Nats. We're not playing to win Worlds. We're playing to have fun. Some might win locals with this sort of deck. I'm here just to have it play for fun with this deck. It's loads of fun, honestly. That's for the Dark Magician side. Oh, you know, Timaeus is just polymerization field. Here's the more quote-unquote competitive side of the deck. The branded side. Starting off, 2 copies of Fall of Albaz. I hate opening Albaz in this deck. Well and truly. I was playing 1, but I've bumped it up to 2. But I remember playing cards like Sprint in the extra deck for Mirror Jade sends. It's also a case of, well, if I open Albaz and I only have Brand Infusion, I go neg 1 in the hand because of it. I don't want to go neg 1 in the hand. It's like having polymerization all over again. If I have a polymerization Albaz Dark Magician, that's going -3. And it's just not worth the, upset, in my opinion, with it. This is a 42-card deck as a heads up, so you can cut one of the Albaz for your own personal preference. I play 2 because I also find it more helpful with Sprint and whatnot. Most of the other normal summons is Aluba the Jester of Despia. If you don't know what Aluba does, my guy, Google it. Yes, it's probably the best normal summon on this deck. It's the best normal summon branded in general. But goddamn, if you don't know what Aluba does, it's a card that's been featured in the meta for, I'm gonna say, how long's Branded been up? Nearly a year now? A good deck. That's what I mean by that. So, Aluba's a card that's been featured in the meta for nearly a year. If you still don't know what it does, that's on you. Card I will explain though is Spring Ant Kit. Kit is worse Aluba. It'll, normal or special summoned, it will search a branded spell or trap from your hand, graveyard or your deck, graveyard or banished. That sounds better than Aluba, if you know what Aluba does, but you have to return a card from your hand to the bottom of the deck. So if it's just this in hand, you go, normal summon, search Brand Infusion, you've got to lose that Brand Infusion immediately. So it's not recommended in my opinion. But, other than that, it's a beast, and that will come up later. It can also be special summoned if you have a monster that mentions Fusion monster that mentions Fall of Albaz in your field or grave. Have to remember that because Cartesia, it's if you have Albaz and Fieldgrave. So I get confused between the two occasionally. There's summoning mechanics. Please forgive me for that one. I think it's fair enough. But that's it. On to the spells with the Dark Magician spells first, because these are the more fun spells in my opinion. 1 Red Ice Fusion. I said I only have 1. I'd play 3 if I could. The point of this deck is to get Dragoon out as quickly as you can. That's the entire reason Albaz is here. It's why it works so well. Dragoon needs any effect dragon or Red Ice Bat Dragon. This one, it's better for Dragoon, worse for the deck. But it's still a way to get to Dragoon quicker. Don't want to be waiting around for blooming Timaeus, do you? If you have Brand Fusion. It's better than nothing. Put you there. Bit more standard Dark Magician stuff. I've got 2 copies of Circle. I know some people, I think Loza plays 1. But I prefer 2 DM Circle. Just because if I lose 1, I have another remaining. And due to Castia or banishing face down, you need the 2, I'm afraid. Again, it's part of the entire combo that Konami intending Dark Magician to have. Summon Dark Magician with Circle Up, banish a card in the opponent's field. With Eternal Soul, that's a quick effect. That's your interruptions to the deck. I really hope you weren't expecting much more than this. Speaking of Eternal Soul, One of Salvation. You never want to play more than this. When this card is activated, you set Eternal Soul directly from the deck. It doesn't get ashed. This cannot be ashed, people. I know it sounds like I'm being pedantic here. But genuinely, I've been playing matches on Dueling Book. I've been going to the occasional, local. And I went, Magician Salvation, what's it do? Oh, I set Eternal Soul directly from the deck. Oh, okay, I'm going to make Ash in response. And it's, well, you can't Ash this. People mistake this for cards like Circle, for cards like Rod that add to your hand. It's set from deck. Don't get cheated by Ash, folks. And a card that I wish was a 3 of in this list. Soul Servant. Yes. The best non-Red Eyes related card in Dark Magician, in my opinion. When it lets you stack your deck, firstly. So this plus this gets you any Dark Magician card you want. And when this is banished, you can do your main phase, you can banish it and draw cards equal number of Palladium monsters, Dark Magician, or Dark Magician Girl with different names on the field or in the graves. It's one of the reasons I play Dark Magician Girl. It lets you draw 2 in this deck. I do own a copy of... Let me grab this for you guys. I do own a singular copy of Palladium Oracle Mana I was tempted to run. So this becomes draw 3. It's not going to be worth it. Mahad is the only one that's worth it for the draw 3. But then if you open Mahad, like I always used to do when I play online, it's glued to your hand and it's a waste of a card slot unless you just can discard it. So I would not recommend this. But it's an option regardless. Final 3. I'm playing a copy of Dark Magic Inheritance. This card just guarantees that you can get a Dark Magician spell trap by banishing 2 spells that you don't care about. For example, Brand Fusion, honestly. You don't need it from Grave, so you can banish it from Grave. Red Ice Fusion is another great example. Salvation, etc. And it just guarantees that you get what you want. 1 Dark Magic attack with its Harpy's Feather Duster. If you control Dark Magician, which with Soul is a bit easier than, just going turn 5 Tribute Summon Dark Magician. And lastly, with Secrets of Dark Magic, I think I was playing Guardian Chimera or Quintet Magician in this list, but I cut them due to other cards needing to be played. But I kept this around in case I opened Albaz and Dark Magician and I didn't have access to other fusion cards. It's niche and it's a good discard in all honesty. Another great banish off Dark Magic Inheritance. That's it for Dark Magician spells. For the branded spells, we have 6. No prizes for this, but can you guess what 6 branded spells we've got? I'm gonna shock you here. I'll give you like 3 seconds for this. It's 3 branded fusion, 3 branded opening. This shouldn't be a surprise. This is the reason why this deck works. You make Lubellion, you make Mirror Jade. Done. Combo done. Lubellion, make Dragoon. Done, your combo is finished. This gets you access to this as emergency teleport with discarding. The fact you discard means that you have Dark Magician Guard in grave potentially. You have Dark Magician in grave again. You have so many better cards in grave that you might want in grave. A lot of the monsters in this deck surprisingly have graveyard effects. Or have effects that help you in the grave. Dark Magician Guard, Dark Magician. Rod, voice break. Rod surprisingly has one. Aluba, again, has one. It's why people need to read Aluba more frequently. But, genuinely, it helps so much with this list. This is a good banish of Dark Inheritance. This is not, because it has a graveyard effect that might help you in the long run, if you go for Dragoon instantly. But that's it for the branded side of things. It's not crazy. We're more focused on Dark Magician here. The final spells, well, what we're playing, these are what I call generic spells. 2 of them shouldn't be really generic, but yeah, it's there. Terraforming is one of them. Gets you your Magician Salvation, or Floodgate. This is Imperial Order if you control a spellcaster. Now, what type of monster is Dragoon again? Oh, that's right. Spellcaster. You get an Omni Negate, say evenly match, and Imperial Order. Why is this allowed? Why is Dragoon a spellcaster? It's stupid, but I love it at the same time. Of course, the main downside is if you have no spellcasters, you don't get spells. But it's something you got to live with in this sort of deck. It's to make Dark Magician win. Final one we got is Triple Super Poly. You can tell all 5 of these are great banish off Dark Magic Inheritance in the grave. And it's just spell speed 4 as a decent board breaker. I was contemplating evenly matched, but in the end I decided against it. It's not worth it in my opinion. The traps of the deck, I have 2 normal, technically there's 3 traps. And then 4 hand traps. One of those traps is Imperm, so there's actually only 2 traps. And it's 2 Eternal Soul. Same logic as 2 Foot Circle. It's just in case Cash banishes it face down, I have none left. But this card is incredibly handy, as it's constant recurrence for Dark Magician. And in theory, you can add Dark Magic. In theory, you can add Dark Magic Attack into your hand, which in theory can mean extra discard off Dragoon or something. It's very handy. Hand trap lineup. What am I playing for hand traps? Double Ash, double Veiler, and an Imperm, which is basically a better Veiler. Double Ash is amazing. It's the best hand trap. It's the most, not the best. It's the most consistent hand trap in the game, is what I should be saying. I don't think that there'll ever be a format of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where Ash isn't good. That's my hot take. Even Teirashizu format Ash had its niches in the fact you could Ash Murley. Ash is arguably the best hand trap in the history of the game. And the fact you don't need to send it to grave for it to work really makes that better. Imperm and Veiler, it's just a monster negate. If they're trying to set up to say, activate Moye to reveal a worm in my hand, I don't know the rest of it. The bit like, you rather reveal a worm of Moye or girlfriend, save your girlfriend, basically reveal a worm, grave, funeral. I just realized I'm explaining Yu-Gi-Oh! Lingo, like copy pasta memes to Yu-Gi-Oh! Players. What is wrong with me? But these would stop those sort of combos. It'll stop searches for brand fusion against branded. It stops cash Tira stuff. Only downside to these 2 is that you need these being grey for it to work. Meaning against Dimension Shifter, against Macrocosmos, against Dark Claw, they're not going to be very helpful. But yeah, that's it for main deck. 42 cards, I do believe. Let's go on to the extra deck. Dark Magician stuff. We have 2 Dragoon. One of these Dragoon I got in London from an anime convention. The other one I got off eBay. But both Dragoon in general is amazing. I think I'd only still have this one if it wasn't for YCS London and needing 2 because of cash. And the final Dark Magician fusion we've got is Dragonite. Dragoon's the heart and soul of the deck. I just shouldn't need to explain Dragoon to Dark Magician players, to branded players. They've all played Dragoon at one point. The branded side of people might not know what this card does. The Dark Magician players will. Long story short, it's Dark Magician on the field on Grave, and your opponent cannot target spells, traps, card effects, and they cannot be destroyed. What does this mean? Well, unless they make a Harpy's Feather Duster that banishes, your spell and trap cards are pretty damn safe. And that is generally what this card does. Branded side of things, we do have 2 Lubellion and 2 Mirror Jade as the main ones you will summon. This is specify summon because this gets Dark Magician Engrave, and this is the alternative to making a Dragoon normally. We'll get to the other occasions. The other one option. The rest of the branded stuff is to be sent off, good old Mirror Jade, or in some instances with one of them, which you get to at the end, make as a backup plan for in case, these get lost to Castia or something. Not likely, but it might happen with Unicorn. 2 Albion, this search Sprite Spell Trap in the Grave, more recursion. 1 Sprint, it summons Albaz in your own phase, more Super Poly action. Prince Brim is the other one. You summon this off Spring Ant Kit, and generally it is the black sheep of making in the branded deck, unless it's the Chimera build. But I do think it's still just as useful in this deck, solely for the fact it's a quick negate, and I mentioned this, it's an Albaz Super Poly, only it doesn't need to be from deck. Which makes it very handy if you discarded an Albaz at full branded opening, or Dragoon. The final extra monster we play is to do with Super Poly and a Link monster. We'll get to the Link in the end. But we have a Garura, a Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, and Predaplant Dragospelia, the only other monster in this deck, really, that you want to make off. The more you make off Lubellion, really, it's generally just... Sorry, you guys, hold on a minute. It's Dragospelia, it's Dragonite, it's Dragoon, or it's Mirror Jade. You don't make anything else. But also, Dragospelia is a Super Poly target. It's pretty generic. 2 Dark monsters, Dark's the most played type in the game. Makes sense, I don't own Mud Dragon. And this is, I'd argue, it's the second best Super Poly target in the game, period. Only one better is Mud Dragon. This does decimate decks like Fluunderies, for example. Just, I'm in a Super Poly, I'm going to fuse together your M-Pen and Robina or something. And that'd be it. For them, generally, because it's Fluunderies, it's D-Shifter, M-Pen. It's usually just M-Pen and die, really. Final extra monster. It's a Link Spider. It's not amazing. I didn't have anyone else put in the slot. And this has the uses of, if Dark Magician's on board, you can link it away so it's in the grave. Yeah. I shouldn't need to explain to Link. Dark Magician plays Link Spider. But if you're new, that's what it does. And that is the list. I hope you enjoyed. I will leave my Discord in the description in case you guys want to come in, send over some deck profiles, or just chat. Discuss my reasonings for not doing this deck better. And yeah, subscribe if you want, or don't bother at all if you're not bothered to. It's fair enough by me. Till the next one, cheerio.